One, avoid ideologically driven states. Now, there are three ideologically driven states, probably you know it more than me: Gujarat, West Bengal, Kerala. Second, always choose those states where you have healthy democracy going on, right? So, where BJP and Congress, ideally the national parties, are rotating powers after 5-10 years, right? So, again, as I said, it gives you enough opportunity to flex your muscles. Everybody knows that they might be replaced. So, you also get the job efficiently done, which is your core job. So, currently, Bihar, Jharkhand, these states are going through that phenomenon, right? The recent UPSC leak that has happened. Now, why do you think that has happened? Because the chief minister has gone very weak. He has gone way beyond his political prime. People don't know. People say, what is the trade services? In trade services, you can do track to diplomacy. So there are a lot of bilateral deals that happen between prime ministers and IFS officers. They are the track one diplomacy doers. But that deals eventually goes down to you. So it's like second last day of DAF filing. And probably I've sat with 70, 80 students so far. And the issue that commonly they're facing with respect to DAF, I'm here to address that. So with respect to 7 ABCD, the first thing you should be doing is that you need to write anything that creates a theme, right? So if you have RBI in your DAF or Google in your DAF, when you write RBI, questions will come from economy, finance, and current affairs related sectors related to that sector. Google, AI, ChatGPT, deepfakes probably in news. So they won't ask you how was your experience working in Google, or how did you spend your time in RBI? No, nothing like that. They'll ask you the themes. So we have to use our 7 ABCD in that way, so that as many themes you can give it to them for asking. So it also adds a lot of diversity in your DAF. So whatever you are writing in 7A, make sure you are not repeating the similar theme in 7B or 7C. So if you have played, say, chess in 7B, right? So 7B just wants to know that whether you have played that sport or not. They don't want to know whether you led, whether you were a captain of that sport, or whether you won that sport. If you have won in that sport, you write in 7A. If you were a captain of that sport, you write in 7C. But 7B is only there to know whether you have played that sport on university, college, district level or not, right? So what people will do, they will repeat the themes. They will write that in 7C also, they will write that in 7B also as captain and as somebody who played. Avoid doing that. If you have mentioned that theme above, think of a different theme below, right? So that is one area we need to keep in mind. Next, we have to be very, very economical with words. So we have to write less and convey more. That's the idea. So people, if you have participated in a fest which is organized by a college, you're writing everything. That fest, that college, that year. No. Year is understood. No. It's there in your DAF. They know which college you are from. College will automatically have some fest. They just want to know whether you have led that society, that project or not. Right? So it kind of looks like a show off sometimes. People coming from tier 1 colleges, they tend to write their colleges everywhere. And it creates a bad impression because it seems that the guy or the girl wants to just get marks on the basis of his or her college. So that can be safely avoided, right? So be very crisp and ensure that themes are being created, and that's how you economically use 7 ABCD portion of your DAF. So there are a few things that I need to keep you in mind. One, avoid ideologically driven states. Now, there are three ideologically driven states, probably you know it more than me: Gujarat, West Bengal, Kerala, right? And so what happens in these states are that there is one dominant ideology that is there for 20-25 years, right? And that ideology has also taken over the institutions of that state: media, academia, judiciary. Now, as an efficient bureaucrat, what you should be doing is you should be coordinating equally with opposition and with people in ruling government so that you're there for everyone, right? And sometimes what happens in these states are, if you have some tendency of dissenting, or if you want to follow constitution and your job, it might be a bit difficult for you to operate. So either you believe in that ideology, you believe in the people associated with that ideology, and only then you will be able to get good positions. By good positions, I mean getting to do important work. Good position is just not having the luxury associated with that position, but doing the relevant work for which we join civil services for, right? Otherwise, we just become a signing authority in less important positions, which is what we have to avoid. So don't keep them in top 2. Rather, you can shift it down to 3, 4, 5, something like that, right? So each area has better alternatives. So that is what we discuss also when you sit with me. Second, always choose those states where you have healthy democracy going on, right? So where BJP and Congress, ideally the national parties, are rotating powers after 5-10 years, right? So again, as I said, it gives you enough opportunity to flex your muscles. Everybody knows that they might be replaced. So you also get the job efficiently done, which is your core job. Third thing, avoid those states which are bureaucratically driven. So by bureaucratically driven, I mean this is a recent phenomena we see at in those times when chief ministers tend to become very weak. So currently, Bihar, Jharkhand, these states are going through that phenomena, right? The recent UPSC leak that has happened. Now, why do you think that has happened? Because the chief minister has gone very weak. He has gone way beyond his political prime. Probably has this impression that state is just he's just okay, is there in the state, but because we don't have a better choice, or probably the opposition is not giving enough confidence to people so that he could be replaced. Now, in such states, what happens is bureaucrats somehow become very powerful, right? And then chances of corruption becomes like the possibility of corruption increases. So BPSC paper leak is a result of that. Now compare this similar incident with Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh has a very powerful minister, chief minister. He has this, at least the idea that he's strict on law and order and such things won't happen. Even if it happens, there is a considerably powerful opposition. So that opposition actually gave them tough times in their, the districts that they thought that they would never lose. So the chief minister knows that if I don't do well, opposition will replace me, right? So if God forbid such incidents also happen there, he's famous for doing strict actions through bulldozers and kind of those justice. So if he does not do that, opposition will make pressure. Why are you not doing that? So this is an ideal environment where bureaucrat can actually function. So in these environment, an honest bureaucrat gets important positions, and bureaucrats who are inclined towards corruption, they are somehow sidelined. So states like states like Uttar Pradesh, I'm talking about Uttar Pradesh. So states like Uttar Pradesh definitely should be a preferred state these days because of these factors: a healthy democracy, a powerful chief minister, a considerable opposition, and for you enough flexibility to work. Right. So avoid bureaucratically driven states, rather choose states where healthy politics is happening. And also a factor of your sometimes regional and language familiarity was also what I would say, because uh, you are a bureaucrat. Ultimately, you have to work for downtrodden's, right? So you have to go on ground, you have to understand, you have to empathize with them. And language is the only way you empathize, right? So sometimes you have to read, write, and speak in that language. You might find a lot of difficulty in doing that. Although it's an all India service, you are expected to go wherever you are asked to, but still you should choose language familiarity, culture familiarity also as an option while deciding this. Any doubts here with respect to state?
There was this north versus northeast versus south.
Okay, so a lot of people from North India, they think that South India will give them better opportunities. No doubt about that. South India is a very like prosperous, advanced, developed, and there's a well-established bureaucracy there. But in Northeast India, a lot of places will give them opportunity to have a conversation in English, probably in Hindi also at times. So Sikkim, Sikkim's official language is English. In Assam, you can actually manage with Hindi. In Agartala, you can manage with Hindi, right? If not Hindi, then English probably. These are smaller states, so you get to know who you are interacting with. Of course, there are challenges, definitely. Right? So AFSPA is there in most of these states, and border issues are also there. But if I'm a North Indian, I would say that in Zone 5, it is very difficult for me to really adapt to the language very quickly, right? So it will be my personal bias that okay, I will pick Northeast as 4 and probably South as 5, not because these states are bad, but I might have a difficult time understanding, adapting to the language, not the system. System is very good, very well established. So this is also one factor we should take into consideration. Also, with respect to IPS, so you cannot follow the same rule for IPS. So IPS always prefer those states where commissionerate systems are coming up. Commissionerate systems give you considerable amount of power as an IPS officer. Also, AGMAT will be preferred more because what happens is that you get an opportunity to go to CBI, which because you are in those zone, you are in good books of union ministry, so they know the efficient officers who can represent CBI. right? And also as IPS, you choose those states and cadre where you need to work on law and order. So probably in zone 1, if I say choose Bihar on 3rd, because times of Odisha have changed and logic I've given you before, healthy democracy and everything. So if I choose Bihar as 3rd in IAS, I would choose Bihar as 2nd in IPS, because there is a lot of opportunity for me as an IPS officer to work on. As IAS officer, if there is a good law and order, I'll be able to do governance and administration much better. But as an IPS officer, my job is to maintain and improve law and order. Right? So little bit here and there we have to do with IPS on these factors. Right? So these are states. Okay. Do we have any questions so far with like other areas if you have to?
So, like as you mentioned that we do not need to write the institution name, but let's say like I was a student faculty coordinator
Okay.
when I was in JNU,
Okay.
but I was not the CR when I was in my DU.
Okay.
So, do we need to mention it or not?
So you were a student faculty coordinator, correct?
Yes, sir.
It was a position of leadership.
Yes, sir.
Right? You just write the student faculty coordinator. Why do you need to write JNU or DU in that?
Like I have not done this in graduation. I have done this in masters. Do I need to specify?
So if you have 2 colleges, yes, sometimes it's okay to write when you have 2 colleges.
Yes, sir.
But usually people have 1 colleges only. If you have 2 colleges, yes, it's okay to write the college name also.
Okay.
But avoid year, and it will also look good if you write this without year. There is no harm.
And sir, like in the prizes, medals, scholarship, like if I have qualified NET JRF, so I need to mention the year, right?
No. If you have qualified NET JRF, why not put this in 7A?
Okay.
So this is also one area that people overlook. Anything that you have done with respect to other exams in the country which are of national level or probably state level could be cracking as could be clearing JNU, could be clearing DU, UPSC, SSC. Write it in 7A.
Yeah, that's
because prizes, medals, we often think are just certificates and trophies. But it is also achievement. There is something there as etc. Right? So it is also an achievement. People, whatever you have done in workplace, if you were appreciated by your manager, your boss, that you brought so much of growth or probably revenue or probably important project, or probably you helped, raid, like if you are in services and you saved so much of money, you investigated and you brought that money back to the system. These are appreciation. Why not? Right? So we can always use these words appreciated with respect to XYZ in 7A. And NET JRF, definitely write it in 7A. Right? That is cleared NET JRF.
like I was asking, so I need to mention the year also, na? Like
that's okay, and it's your call. I mean, I won't recommend writing year also. You just clear NET JRF, it's understood.
okay, sir.
Right? Let them ask you if they don't ask you anymore about which year you did. Gone are those days of UPSC when such questions used to come. They know that you have cleared NET JRF and your academic bent of mind is established. Not more than that they need to know.
Okay.
Right? So these are the few areas in 7 ABCD. Yes.
Sir, my doubt is with regarding to 7D, hobbies and extracurricular activities. My hobby is cooking. So do I have to mention some specific which type of food I cook or
Yes.
like that?
You have to give it a not genre would not be the right word, but you have to specify cuisine.
Yeah.
Right? So whether you like cooking Indian cuisine or Chinese cuisine, so that always gives you also a comfort to prepare that cuisine and for them also to ask better. Cooking otherwise will be a very broad area that way.
Yes.
So always write Indian or Chinese or whatever you cook, and be very honest. Whatever you cook, like you will of course have to know the ingredients and everything, and tell them honestly.
And so one hobby is enough, or should we write two
No,
only?
one hobby is not enough. But if you do not have any hobby, like if you have a hobby, at times what happens is that we overlook certain things that we do on a daily basis and we don't treat that as a hobby. So most of us like listening to music while traveling back to our home from workplace, and we don't consider that as a hobby, but we are doing that thing on a daily basis. Then why not? Why can't we put that as a hobby? Right? But also there is extracurricular activities also written here, 7D. Right? So what does this mean? That it's just not hobby. Any activity also that you have done, probably in school, college or workplace, and you enjoy doing that. You presented a research paper probably, or you donated, for instance, blankets, or you did some charity. Why not? Write down in 7D. So think more. Think more on those areas that you often don't think about. And if you feel that can come as a hobby, we can of course rephrase that better for you.
Yes.
Right? So this is how you have to keep in mind 7 A, B, C, D. These are the areas. Yeah.
So I am thinking to write watching movies and web series. So should I make it more specific?
Yes, you have to give it a genre, one.
Okay.
Whether in OTT or you like to watch Bollywood movies on big screen.
So if I write watching movies on social issues,
Yeah, of course.
will that sound
Yes,
appropriate?
that sounds good.
But I only watch Hindi movies. Like most of the social issues movies are in Malayalam or Telugu.
No, it's not like that. If you want to specify even more, like watching contemporary Hindi movies related to social work, then we have to cut few words down. We'll sit and we'll cut few words down. How does this sound? But yes, we can specify as much as possible. But yeah, you can write watching contemporary movies on social.
Well, sir, when I was in college, I used to visit the historical sites in Delhi.
Okay.
So how should I write this in my hobby? Can I write or not?
No, sightseeing, it can come under sightseeing or even historical sightseeing, right? So there will be certain words we can use for this.
I saw Nosheen Mem Def, she has written visiting historical places.
Yeah, historical sightseeing, historical places, why not?
I want to write it I have only visited in Delhi.
So yeah, that's the problem. So if you write historical sightseeing, then history is a theme that you're opening up. And then you make sure you're well prepared for each and everything with respect to history and just not sightseeing.
Okay.
Right? Because there are rulers, there are a lot of rulers. So yeah.
So can you suggest any other hobby which?
No, so that's what happens. I'll sit with you. This is where mentoring comes in, right? This is not a classroom. I'll sit with you and I'll discover those hobbies from the conversation we do. Okay. Right? And that's how we have been doing this at Civilsdaily last 4 days.
Okay.
Right?
Sir.
Okay. Okay. So with respect to the cadre and states, a lot of people don't know about these services also. So one fundamental mistake that people do, and I don't know why so many of them are advising, to put DANIPS above Group A services. Right? I won't recommend this at all. Because what happens here is that you are ultimately listening to people who have cleared the same exam. So in state PCS, there is a hierarchy. State PCS officers know somehow that they could not clear UPSC Civil Services exam and they are not very hesitant to accept the hierarchy. Here what happens is that you have cleared the same exam and DANIPS is obviously being commanded by the IAS or DANIPS is being commanded by an IPS and you somehow feel that because I preferred the services above, I kept the services above or I might not have gotten that lucky, whatever your reasons are, I don't deserve to be commanded by a guy who is on the same examination competency level. So there is some amount of, ego that comes into picture. That is one reason. Then, of course, there is a difference in promotions. So there are certain states, if you clear state PCS, DANIPS is nothing but state PCS of UTs. So if you clear Uttar Pradesh PCS, Rajasthan PCS, you might get promoted quickly to IAS than DANIPS. So here, 96 or 97 batches still struggling to become IAS, right? So you retire as a DM. When you become DM, you most probably are very close to your retirement. And the IAS guy is joint secretary or secretary by that level. So you imagine you are clearing Group A exam, Group A service to join a Group B service. It does not make a lot of healthy sense. So of course, people say that we are passionate about working in field and we want to feel becoming SDM and DSP, feel of DSP. You better crack state PCS for that, right? Because they don't know what other Group A services can give you. People don't know. People say, what is trade services? In trade services, you can do track to diplomacy. So there are a lot of bilateral deals that happen between prime ministers and IFS officers. They are the track 1 diplomacy doers. But that deals eventually goes down to you to trade officers. Comcasa, Becca, they are not of 5-10 pages. They are of 500,000 pages. And you are the officers who know the technicalities of those details. You get to represent India in WTO. You get that diplomatic immunity whenever you travel abroad with that maroon passport and that entry of officers, line 1. where nobody can enter if you don't have that passport. People don't know about trade service. They will keep Danix over trade service. They will keep Danix over corporate law service or say information service. Information service is so powerful these days. Gone are those days of Doordarshan and Prasar Bharati. Everything is social media these days. Politicians, ministries, they want to come on social media. And you are giving licenses to journalists. You are handling PIV. You are official sources to journalists. You're so powerful. And you get to say that you belong to Indian government of India. The perks of government of India, the security of government of India can't be matched by Group B any day. Right? So these, I can go on each and every services that way, but of course we sit together and do one-to-one discussions on that, but never ever keep Group A, any Group A for that matter, even Railway Protection Force over Danix Danips. Your last order has to go Danix Danips, Spondix Pondips, AFHQ. Then, of course, Group A, within Big Fours, IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS, of course, we have our own biases and our own reasons. That's okay. Within Group A also, it's okay to intershift. But don't put Group A above, like below Group B.